Imagine coming home one night to an empty house. No argument, no warning, just a note that says, "I need something different." You replay everything in your mind. You were faithful, responsible, always there for her. So what went wrong? Psychology reveals a brutal truth. A man can be perfect on paper and still lose the spark that made her fall in love. Welcome to Female Nature Revealed. Tonight, we unravel the mystery of why good men are often left behind. He was always faithful, never raised his hand in anger, and worked harder than anyone else to provide for her needs. He believed that fulfilling his duties was the ultimate expression of love, giving everything he had to build a secure future. Yet despite all his perfection and sacrifice, she packed her bags one quiet evening and walked out of his life forever. Left in the silence of an empty home, he whispered to the walls, claiming he did absolutely everything right for her. But what if the problem was never about being good enough, but rather about losing the spark that makes you alive? We must first understand the paradox of the good man, a misunderstanding that has caused heartbreak for countless devoted partners. Society tells men that being good means being a provider, being safe, and never causing any harm to their partner. However, deep psychology reveals that attraction is not sustained by moral correctness, but by raw emotional engagement and primal desire. Morality builds a foundation of safety, which is necessary, but safety alone does not ignite the fires of burning desire. A relationship that is perfectly safe but lacks emotional variation becomes like a sterile room where nothing exciting ever grows. We must distinguish between the attachment system, which seeks security, and the dopamine system, which craves novelty and unexpected challenges. When you focus only on being harmless, you inadvertently signal that you lack the capacity to be dangerous or exciting. She does not leave because she hates the safety you provide. She leaves because her soul is starving for emotional movement. This is the tragedy of the good man who perfects his behavior but forgets to nurture the dynamic energy of attraction. Let us explore the critical difference between providing for a woman materially and being truly present with her emotionally. Psychological theories suggest that human beings have three core needs: to feel autonomous, to feel competent, and to feel related. A man can be an excellent provider of resources, yet fail completely at the need for relatedness and emotional connection. Presence means more than just occupying the same room. It implies a deep, undivided attention that penetrates the surface. When you divide your attention with your phone or work, you are physically there, but spiritually absent from the connection. According to relationship experts, when emotional bids are ignored repeatedly, the distance between two people widens into an unbridgeable canyon. She does not leave you because you are a bad person. She leaves because she feels profoundly lonely in your presence. Material gifts cannot substitute for the intimacy of being truly seen, heard, and understood by the man she loves. The connection severs not from a single event, but from 1,000 small moments where presence was required but denied. You become a ghost in your own relationship, a functional utility rather than a vibrant soul that she desires. Loneliness inside a marriage is often more painful than being single, because the hope for connection is constantly disappointed. Now we confront the silent killer of desire, the comfort zone where growth stops and predictable routine takes over. The human brain loves stability for survival, but it absolutely craves growth, progress, and challenge to feel truly alive. When a man feels he has already won the woman, he often stops running the race and settles into stagnation. He stops developing himself, stops setting new goals, and stops creating the novelty that once made him so attractive. Stability is essential, but when stability transforms into stagnation, the relationship begins to feel like a slow, suffocating death. She looks at you and no longer sees a man on a mission. She sees a monument to who you used to be. Predictability creates comfort, which is nice for a roommate, but continuous growth is what creates attraction for a lover. In nature, anything that stops growing begins to die. Your relationship is no different. It requires constant renewal. The moment you believe you have nothing left to learn or achieve, you lose the mystery that keeps her intrigued. She wants to be with the man who is constantly evolving, not someone who peaked years ago and gave up. Be the river that is always moving and changing, not the stagnant pond that remains the same until it becomes toxic. This brings us to the core of existential psychology, the profound human attraction to those who are vibrantly alive. Aliveness is not just breathing. It is passion, curiosity, direction, and the proactive energy that engages with the world. When a man loses connection with his own passions and dreams, he loses his internal magnetic field. Without this vitality, you are not just losing motivation, you are losing the very essence that draws people toward you. Women do not need perfection, but they desperately need to feel the movement and intensity of a man's spirit. A flawless but empty shell will always lose to a flawed man who burns with purpose and intense vitality. You must reignite your own fire, not for her, but because a life without fire is barely worth living. Reconnect with the things that make you forget to eat and sleep, the things that make your blood run hot. When you are alive with your own purpose, you become a source of light that she naturally wants to be near. Do not let the routine of life drain your battery until you are nothing but a working machine. Your aliveness is the water that nourishes the relationship. Without it, everything eventually turns to dust. Attachment theory teaches us that safety is not just about physical protection, but about emotional and directional leadership. A woman feels safest when she is with a man who has a plan, a map, and the will to execute it. This is not about controlling her. It is about having the stability of identity to lead yourself through life's chaos. When a man loses his personal goals, he is not just seen as weak, he is seen as lost. Her respect for you diminishes not because you failed, but because you stopped trying to steer the ship. You cannot be a passenger in your own life and expect her to trust you with the wheel of the relationship. Define your vision clearly. Know where you are going, and she will feel safe enough to join you on the journey. Direction creates a container of safety. It tells her that you are capable of handling whatever the future holds. A man with a mission commands respect effortlessly, not through force, but through the clarity of his intent. Be the lighthouse that stands firm in the storm, guiding the way not by force, but by unwavering presence. Do not mistake this advice for a call to become cold, distant, or to play manipulative mind games. The message is not to become a toxic bad boy who treats women poorly to generate artificial attraction. Pretending to be indifferent is a sign of weakness. True strength is being kind while retaining your power. Kindness without vitality becomes invisible and taken for granted. Kindness with vitality becomes magnetic and irresistible. If you are only kind, but lack a spine and a direction, you become background noise in her life. Your kindness should be a choice made from a position of strength, not a plea for approval or safety. Kindness is the foundation, but your personal value, your mission, and your aliveness are the structure that reaches the sky. Think of your life as a fortress. This is not to isolate you, but to define your sovereign territory. A fortress represents your boundaries, your standards, your separate goals, and your continuous self-development. You must cultivate a life outside of the relationship. Have hobbies, friends, and pursuits that are yours alone. When you are grounded in your own reality, you stop clinging to her for validation, which paradoxically draws her closer. Attraction is reborn when she realizes you are a complete individual who chooses her, not a half-man who needs her. Build your gravity. Become a world of your own so that your relationship becomes a beautiful collision of two stars. We end with a truth that may be hard to swallow but is necessary for your liberation. Loyalty is a virtue, but it is not a reward for submission. Being harmless does not guarantee you will be loved. You do not keep attraction by being safe. You keep it by being dangerously, unapologetically, and beautifully alive. Don't try to be a good man by erasing yourself. Build a life so full that love becomes a choice. Comment alive for more.